we've just been discussing how you are approaching your 15th year of teaching, which is incredible. So, like, a lot of experiences there and, you know, different stages of being a yoga teacher. So I guess, yeah, what I'm asking is what now in your 15th year...
What's it like? What's it like being that old?
Have you sussed it out? No. Like, what is it that... I guess that might have changed as you've continued to teach, or is there like a root, a fundamental about what you love most about teaching?
That's a good question. I think when I started... I think the kind of driving force that I had was that I wanted to have an effect on people and make a difference. I wanted to feel like I'd done something that had made life better for other people in some way. And I think that has been a kind of ongoing thread through my teaching over the years. And I suppose the thing that my experience has taught me is that yoga does make a difference to people's lives.
Hence you're 15 years in.
Hence I'm still here going, yes, it really works. Because I think, I guess until you actually start teaching, you don't really know for certain what sort of impact you're going to make. And I think certainly when you're first teaching, you can kind of feel like you're perhaps not making that much of an impact. You know, it can be quite hard at the start, can't it, when you're teaching? Just kind of getting enough people coming to your classes and all that kind of stuff. But I think once you've sort of got underway and you've got into a bit of a rhythm and you've got momentum, then you've built up relationship, and I think through relationship you get feedback.
Yeah, of course.
And you know, the feedback that you get, it's not about whether it feeds your ego, although I'm sure there are moments of that, but it's about, you know, for people saying things. I remember there's a guy who used to come to one of my classes on a Sunday morning, and it was a very simple thing. He said to me one week, I feel like on Sunday mornings I can breathe. And he said, I almost feel like between the two classes I hardly breathe.
Wow.
And then I breathe. And it's so simple. And yet I thought,
profound.
Wow,
yeah.
You know, I've made, the yoga has made, the class has made a difference to him to feel that. And he wasn't someone who shared a lot of stuff. He was quite quiet, and for him to share that, you know, and it's those little things. I'm sure you've got the same kind of things that people say, you know, and they're simple. They're simple things, you know. They're things like, you know, I've noticed my posture more often when I'm standing, you know, waiting for a bus. Or I remember one woman saying to me that she would stand on the tube, on the underground trains, and she started to stand differently after doing yoga. So she would take her feet further apart, and it gave her more stability, and she felt like she wasn't kind of being knocked around as much. Again, you know, this kind of like, whoa, it wouldn't have even occurred to me really, but a very simple thing. Just giving people space to, you know, make small differences like those, or make bigger differences, you know, to find that they don't have to put up with backache all the time, that in fact, you know, if they move regularly in certain ways, that goes.
Absolutely.
You know.
And yet we think, you know, it's interesting, we say, it's a simple thing, but actually technically, if you're not breathing, I mean, obviously he was breathing, but you know, if he didn't feel like he was breathing at all, that's quite a significant impact. As is feeling the opportunity to take a breath and to breathe, and how much that will change like his nervous system and his well-being. And as you said about that woman standing and not feeling like she's being knocked about, so actually physically, but also like, I can change the way that I stand and not feel like I get pushed about in life. You know, true. There's so many different layers. We might notice it physically, and that's just a love. Actually, when the penny starts to drop, people come to yoga, not all people, I mean, some people seek it out because they've heard it's good for relaxation or stress response, but a lot of people may come to it on a sort of physical kind of thing, really, you know, oh, my physio said, or my doctor said, or I'm feeling a bit tight and achy. And then the more they practice, they're like, something's happening here, like this is touching me, not just on a physical level.
I feel different.
Yeah.
I feel different. Yeah, definitely. It is brilliant.
Yeah.
Actually.
That's, to witness that. And to be able to recall those, to recall those stories of making a difference.
What about you?
I guess, like, as I was hearing you talk, and I was thinking about, obviously you've had a 15-year journey, and I was thinking about my journey into it. I guess, like, when you have a love for something personally, there's a natural inclination to want to share that for somebody else. Like, even if you go to a favourite restaurant, you're like, oh my God, you got to come and taste this food, it's amazing. And it was the same way yoga touched my life, and I wanted to share it with other people. And I guess the root of mine is like yours, to help people and make a difference. So my background prior to yoga was working with young offenders and youth justice, and although they might seem polar opposites, actually the thread is still the same. It's that kind of desire to help people and to offer people a different way, and to offer people some tools and let people make sense of that for themselves, because it's different for us all. That person noticed it was their breath, the other person noticed that they stand different. You know, that's what I love about yoga. It's so rich. People take different things. Like, you'll have people that come up to you and just like, oh my gosh, it's like you made that class for me. It's like you were speaking directly to me. You know, some people will love a particular style or breathing practice. And I guess that's what I love about it, is that it meets people where they are, and that there isn't an expectation. It's, here's a philosophy, here's a practice, here is something, and it's for you to make sense of for where you are right now, today, on this mat, not how you were yesterday, or like, and you just, you know, you'll leave feeling different than how you come in and how you walked in. And that's incredibly, I think, it's quite, I don't know if humbling's the right word.
Touching.
Yes, a privilege. I think that's what it is. It's actually a privilege to hold space and to allow for that to happen for people in the way that it needs to happen, without it being directive. You know, we're here as guides, aren't we? And we offer, there's an invitation, you know, and sometimes our words are met different than how we might interpret it, but it's what that person takes in. And so I guess I really do. I love that, and I love seeing the after yoga face glow. Like, you can just see it. Like, the eyes are different. Sometimes there's a flushness in people. The shoulders might have dropped. You know that.
I don't know whether you've noticed that more on Zoom, but I noticed it on Zoom because I'm short-sighted. So in a class, people are in a reasonable sized space. They may be a bit of a distance away from me.
How interesting.
On Zoom, on a screen, and of course you get mainly their face on a screen. So at the end of the class, everybody kind of comes up to the screen. And when I was first started teaching on Zoom, I was like, wow, look at people's faces. You know, like you say, a kind of a release, a brightness, you know, more relaxed around the sort of brows. You know, quite often smiling, or, you know, not in a cheesy kind of way, but just looking sort of relieved and released. And quite often at the end of the classes, I would say to people, wow, look at you all, you look so beautiful. I'm sure people think I'm being, you know... I don't know what they think, but it's genuine.
Yoga teacher,
you know? Oh, you're all so lovely.
Aura.
But they genuinely, I'm taken.
Oh,
by
it's noticeable
how
though, isn't it?
Different people look.
It is. Yeah. It is noticeable. You know, there is a difference. You can notice that with people. And I love that people start noticing that about them. I was in this situation and I did that thing. Like, you know, like,
Yeah.
And so when you start to see people taking it off the mat and using it in their life, having trouble sleeping, and that thing you did really helped. So I decided to try and do that. So it is really,
It's empowering, isn't it?
It's empowering.
It's empowering people to have some more control over their lives, and I think a lot of the time people can feel they haven't got a lot of control. And that's so it's really, really important.
Yeah. I would say predominantly people, if I was to ask people now that come to my classes, like, what's the main reason that you come? Which would be an interesting question. I have asked that before. I'm just thinking, I haven't asked that for a while. It would be, it's that space for me. It is that piece of me time where I don't have to play a role. There are no responsibilities, and I can just look after myself, because we don't often have that kind of... And although we might have space in the evening, you know, what are we doing? It might be like we're just vegging out in front of the telly, or we're scrolling on our phone, and that's not really...
quality time.
Yeah, quality time. Whereas coming into, you know, a space that's held, that's special. I think that's what a lot of people would say that they come to class.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Should try it.